Don't ever give up on God. Why? Stay tuned. You'll find out. Welcome to God Answers Prayer. I'm Linda Tiano, your host today, and I would like to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 18, verses 16 through 19. It says, "He rescued me from the mighty waters and drew me to himself. Even though I was helpless in the hands of my hateful, strong enemy, you were good to deliver me. When I was at my weakest, my enemies attacked. But Yahweh held on to me. His love broke open the way, and he brought me into a beautiful, broad place." Our God is no respecter of persons, and what he did in this scripture still applies to us today. Phillip Smith and his wife Haylee are here to share their story. We'll be right back with them. Welcome back. I'm here with Phillip and Haylee Smith.
Hi.
It's good to have you with us.
It's so good to be here.
Thank you.
And you are both serving as the pastor leaders at Del Norte Baptist Church.
Well, I don't claim the name pastor, but yes.
Well, your leadership.
She has to do the
Yeah.
work. She just doesn't get the title. I claim the title.
So, Phillip, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so to take a long story and condense it short, I am not from here. I'm originally from Nashville. We met in middle school. Her dad was the music pastor at First Baptist Church in the town I grew up in. And so we went to the middle school dance together. And that's already scandalous enough that a Baptist pastor and his wife met at a dance. So, they ended up moving to Albuquerque, where your dad planted a church, and we got back into contact when I was in college.
Great.
And so, long story again short, I knew I wanted to go into ministry from 14. I felt God calling me to pastoral ministry. So I went to a university where I got a theology degree with biblical studies and Christian studies, and started pastoring my first church when I was 21 years old, a junior in college. And I say pastoring, it was 35 people, and far more them ministering to me than it was ever me ministering to them. But upon graduating, we had prayed a lot about what the next steps were and just couldn't get over God calling us out here. And so I had that conversation to the dismay of my parents of, "Mom, Dad, I'm moving to Albuquerque." And they said, "Well, what job are you going to get there?" "I don't know. There's just a really pretty girl there and I'm going." And so I moved in 2014. We got married, and I started doing pulpit fill-ins in Socorro, about an hour south of here. And so, long story short, there's so much detail that could get filled in with all of this.
Yeah.
But they asked us to stay, and I started my first pastorate in New Mexico at First Baptist Church of Socorro. We were there for about 6 years, and some other things lined out that has to do with more of our story that I'm sure we'll get into in Portales. And we ended up spending 5 years in Portales, and then finally, about a month ago, got called out here to the land of enchantment
Well,
again.
you almost made it to Texas.
We almost made it to Texas. That's about as close as we wanted to get.
We were 15 minutes from the border, and we said,
Yeah.
that's close enough.
We want to get back to mountains. That's what we said. So
Right.
back to where the mountains called us, and we've been now at Del Norte for about a month. And,
Really?
man, the church has been so good, so loving, so kind. It has been a great month, and we're so excited for the future that lays in front of us.
So, I mean, I grew up in the Baptist church, so I'm familiar with the call and all that.
Right.
But I mean, did Del Norte put out a call, Or how did you learn
Yeah, so,
that they were?
I always say there's no denominational neighborhoods in heaven, right? We're all believers and brothers and sisters, but in
bet.
the more Baptist traditions, generally, there's no hierarchy that's placing people places.
Right.
So the Baptist churches will form a search team and they'll receive resumes and stuff. And so we just had some mutual friends suggest that might be a good fit. We were kind of looking to get closer to the city. And really, Haylee graduated high school here. And this is, in a way, your missional home.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a home for me. Albuquerque is home for me, and I think being closer to, being further east helped me realize just how much this place feels like home. And but we both begun to feel over the last year like these were the people that God had for us to minister to, and the place where we wanted to be, and like He was calling us here. So we started to explore like where where could that be, what church is that, and so after some different suggestions from people we trust, we decided to look into Del Norte and see, and it was really cool the way that what we were desiring and we felt God was desiring for us lined up with what they were also desiring for their next pastor, and just really neat in the way that
we firmly believe stuff like that's not just mechanical. It's
No.
not just sending a resume, but it's saying, hey, God, we're going to crack this door, and if you want to close it, you get every right to close it. And He's done that to us before.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes we would get a little upset with Him about that, and He would say, hey, I'm the leader here, not you. But we kind of cracked the door, and He flung it wide open.
And then we get to look back and say, like, God, thank you for closing those other doors, because
This
was clearly, you had, your ways are higher. And so it's been really cool to see how He has just blessed and gone before us in this process. So we're just excited to be here.
You said that, even at 14 you knew.
Yes.
But you were raised in a Christian home.
Yeah, so my parents split up when I was young. So I grew up in Tennessee, but it was more of the cultural Christianity. Now today, both of my parents are faithful believers. They've both been remarried, and there's whole stories and all of that as well. But growing up, it was kind of nominal. Everyone's a Christian. It's Tennessee, right? Bible Belt, the buckle of it right there.
Yeah.
And so I went forward on a Sunday morning and said a prayer and had no idea what I was doing. But I knew it made my mom happy, and I want to make my mom happy. So it wasn't until I was 13 that I went with my local school's Fellowship of Christian Athletes kickoff rally. And we went to downtown Nashville at a kind of convention there, and I heard the gospel for the first time that I understood it. And I just couldn't help but get up and respond and give myself to Christ. In the following year, I was asked to be the president of my Fellowship of Christian Athletes at my middle school, and found myself leading Bible studies and teaching my peers, and I was scared to death, and I loved it at the same time. Fell in love with standing in front of, guys and girls my age and just trying to teach the Bible. I'm sure most of those devotionals were theologically atrocious, but
But they were from the heart.
but from the heart. And I loved it. And I knew that was kind of that first inkling that God was saying, this is what I have for you. I don't come from a background of ministry. My parents, no one was in ministry. But her family is long-term ministry. And so...
I'm fourth generation New Mexico.
Fourth generation New Mexico ministry families. So,
But we all have to come to the place where we own it.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I said growing up, I would never marry a pastor. Because, working with people that closely is hard, and ministry can be hard. And, my family has been so faithful, and I'm so thankful for them. But I saw the way they were treated at times, and I was like, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I want to be a pastor's wife. And God said, ha ha.
So now I'm trying to get this all connected.
Right.
So you were growing up here.
It's complicated. So, being a pastor's kid, you sometimes
You
you
move
tend to
around.
move around a lot. So, I was born in Arizona. Both my sisters were born in Fort Worth. But my parents both grew up in New Mexico. My mom grew up in Chama. My dad grew up in Belen. My grandparents were here in Albuquerque for my whole life. So, we would come back and visit. And but when I was in elementary school. My dad was the music and youth pastor at First Baptist Moriarty. And then after that was when we moved to Tennessee. And we lived there for about 2.5 years. And during that 2.5 years, I met Phillip. We went to school together.
Amount of time for us to go to the dance together.
And then my dad, my parents made the decision to come back to Albuquerque, plant a church. And that was when we moved back when I was at the end of 8th grade. And then I was here through high school and barber school. That's where I went after high school, barber school. And then we got back in touch through Facebook, and I convinced you to move here.
You did.
So,
it was a great decision.
Me and the Lord convinced you.
Yeah, that's fair. There was a lot of prayer that went into that too, but it was really good.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a convoluted story.
It's Facebook romance, huh?
Facebook romance, I guess.
Yeah.
So now here you are, and what are your expectations?
Yeah, we've been in New Mexico I've been in New Mexico for 11 years now, and most of that, other than a short little stint right after we got married, has been spent in more rural New Mexico, and that's been so good. But there's something about a city that is really fun, that we're getting back to. I hate to say getting back to civilization, because it sounds like I'm speaking ill of those rural places, and some of those people are my favorite people on the planet. But I feel like there's so much more opportunity, and there's so much more lostness, and it only takes a drive down Albuquerque to see it. But that's why God puts his people in those situations, that we're to be his hands and feet in those communities. And so, my expectations is not that we somehow turn Del Norte into a mega church, and that's not our goal or anything. But our goal is to say, all right, God, who do you have for us to reach? Who are the lost people that need to know you? They need to know your grace, your hope, your love. They need to know that there is salvation, and not just an eternity to come in the presence of God, but a life in the here and now where we get indwelt with the Spirit, and we get to lead and live lives of sobriety and healing and grace. And we want to see those stories unfold.
So what's been the hardest part of ministry so far?
It depends. There's different phases, I think. I think for us, there's always the church parts, and there's, budding opinions. And even when we're all saved and get along, sometimes it's just church. And it is what it is. We can be a little self-centered, and I am the top of that list. But I think for us, the hardest part has been a more personal part, and that's in our journey of getting where we are now with our children. We went through, in the first 7 years of our marriage, just some pretty brutal years of infertility, and I think that for me still marks the hard years of our ministry, and at least so far,
Yeah, a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunity to learn about who God really is, and how he comes alongside us. And so hard, but a lot of opportunity to learn and grow.
Well, I mean, when you face those kind of situations, especially as a woman, did you ever feel like giving up?
Sure. I think as we really were in the thick of it, I had to come to a place where I decided whether or not God was enough for me. And in 2020, during COVID, being home all the time, and I remember having those conversations with God and really digging deep into Scripture, and getting to the place where I could say, Lord, like, if this never happens for us, you are enough, and my husband is enough, and the blessings that you have given us are enough. And then he still, had more for us than we could ask or imagine, just like the Bible says. And he came through for us in ways that we just could only imagine with that too. But
to maybe put some directionality to all of that, after 2 years of marriage, we went we want to have kids, we want to start a family, and it was one of those things that year after year was just nothing, no positive pregnancy tests, it was utter silence on all of those fronts. And so throughout the midst of that, you start asking questions, what's wrong? Are we missing something here? And so that led us into, well, maybe God has for us adoption, and that's the route we need to take. And
we had always talked about adoption, and so that was not something that was like a hard transition for us to go into. But but yeah, the way we went about it was unique.
And that's what took us to Portales originally. I mean, other than some other things we felt God calling, that's where the Baptist Children's Home is.
Oh, okay.
And that they were close in relationship with the church I was pastoring there.
Right.
And they were starting up adoption processes. And so we thought, well, maybe we want to go, and this is a good chance for us to
Okay, so
start.
let's pause for just a moment there.
Sure.
We're going to come back to that. And for those of you watching, and as you're listening to this, there's so many out there that have gone through this very same thing. And I pray that you'll listen, you'll be encouraged, that you'll hear the Spirit of the Lord speaking to you and bringing a calmness into your heart, but also greater faith. If you have a prayer need, please call us. The number's right there at the bottom of the screen. We've got wonderful prayer partners that love to pray. So please give us a call, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back. And you were talking about being in Portales with the children's home and adoption options.
Yeah, so we were looking into all of those options, and you can interrupt me anytime you have something to add to it. But, we found adoption is not cheap.
Definitely not.
It is.
It's incredibly expensive.
And so we went through this whole process of building a couple profile. You made a book that was kind of an all about us, and our plan was to try to get that out to birth mothers that may be interested in that. And after a few months,
what we found was that there are a lot more people wanting to adopt babies than there are babies to be adopted, which I think is maybe a surprise to people. But we found it was going to take a while, and so we were praying about it. And God, what do we do? Do we stay this course? Do we do something else? And He brought to our attention through a few different things the option of embryo adoption, which we believe that life begins at conception. Mm-hmm. So we found out there are millions of embryos frozen all over the country that are just sitting there. And
it's a little sci-fi to be.
Yeah.
It's different.
It's still God.
But it is, and the idea that across the world, when people do IVF, whenever a family completes their family, if they still have leftover embryos, they have this question of what do we do with those? And again, we believe that those are sanctified human lives.
You bet.
And so we felt that God was saying, hey, maybe this is a chance to demonstrate that by adopting embryos. And so you still went through all of the biological parts of doing that?
Yeah, lots of medication and shots and doctor visits, and we were driving to Dallas. Like it felt
with
like once a
Baylor's fertility
week.
clinic.
Yeah, just like once a week, and it was crazy. But we started that process, and we adopted 4 embryos from a family. They were just so kind. We're still in contact with them, but we adopted 4 embryos from them, and we went through the process of the medication and everything, and we just felt God leading, and we went in, and I had 2 of those embryos transferred into my body. So no biological connection to us, but I was still going to get to be pregnant and have those babies. And we had that done, and we came home and positive pregnancy test.
First ever of our marriage.
First ever positive pregnancy test. We were so excited. I sent Phillip off to a conference
in California
because we just knew that God had answered
Yeah.
our prayer, and here we were. And while he was gone, I lost those babies, and it was heartbreaking.
That probably was the, I think, darkest moment. And
it was a turning point for us in learning about what suffering looks like in the Christian life, and how God views our suffering, and how he mourns with us, and how he uses things for his glory, but he doesn't harm us for his glory. But we got to see how God walked with us through the darkest period
and
of our lives.
takes those broken pieces when we feel broken, and pieces them back together.
And so we were brokenhearted. It was horrible, and we just couldn't understand how this could happen. But we knew we had 2 more embryos, and we were going to try again. And we were determined that we would move forward and keep going. And so we went through all the medication again. I had some more tests done, and our doctor actually figured out why finally why we were not able to have children, and it was correctable. It was actually pretty simple. It was expensive to fix, but it was something that could be corrected. And so we corrected that, and we went in to have our second embryo transfer. And we got in, and he called us into his office, and he said, "I've never had this happen before, but we went to thaw your embryos, and they're not there. There's nothing there.
Wow.
There are no babies."
Someone had messed up years ago.
Like, 8 years ago, and just, I guess, not frozen anything. And so once again, we walked away from, I think the first one was dark. The second one it felt like mourning something that didn't exist, which was a really confusing feeling, because I'm mourning children that were never there. And that was a hard period as well. And we just couldn't understand what God was doing. We were just so
it's those times,
devastated.
right, when you're praying and you're going, God, are you even listening? And you know He is. I mean, there's a faithfulness but it just feels like there's some disconnect between you and like the ceiling's just preventing something there.
Yeah. Psalm 116, I think verse 10 says, I believed even when I said I am greatly afflicted. And I remember just repeating that to myself and to God. Like, God, I still believe. I know you're doing something, but I am greatly afflicted. And just learning that God can handle our pain and our hurt and our doubt and all of those things, but we still need to take it to Him. We just keep communicating with Him, and that was what we did. We just kept communicating with Him and crying out to Him, and He did something amazing.
So we started to regroup because we went, if this is going to be the route, let's keep trying, and started the whole plans. But somewhere in the meantime of those plans being formed, Haylee got pregnant.
And I remember I was trying to get to the point, my body to the point where I could start doing all of those medications and shots and things again, and my body was just not cooperating. Like, I was like,
we were asking people in our church to pray for things like that.
Yeah.
Like, please, and I remember my mom saying, "Haylee, have you taken a pregnancy test?" And I was so angry. I was like, "Mom, I am not pregnant. I have taken 50 pregnancy tests in the last, 8 years. I am not pregnant." But it wouldn't leave my mind. And I called Phillip and I said, "Hey, I need you to pick up a pregnancy test, just please. Like, I just need to make sure because And he came home and I took that test and we were talking about other things and doing things because I knew it was negative. And I turned around and I looked at it and I said, "I'm going to throw up."
That was the response.
And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up." He said, "Is it positive?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that was how we found out we were pregnant with our son Griffin on Halloween Day, 2022.
2022. It was.
So we're coming up
yeah.
on.
That was an in-your-face thing, wasn't it?
It
Yes.
was.
Yes.
You know.
And we told everyone right away, even though it was so early.
Right.
And but we got to see his heartbeat at 7 weeks gestation, and I had a great pregnancy, and now he's 2.5, and we are. It's just a beautiful, a beautiful
18
thing.
months later, had a second boy.
Yes. Yeah.
Not intentionally to have them that close together,
But after you wait 8 years, you're like, well, I don't know if we'll ever be able to have another child, so I'm not gonna stop it from happening. And boom, then Thiessen came along right away.
And so both of our boys are biological, and I want to be clear that had God allowed those first two to come that way, they would have just as much been our kids, and we would have loved them just as much.
Well, this is the Lord had a story in mind.
He did.
Yeah.
And He's the author.
He is. That's beautiful. So you've got a lot of joy in your house now.
But
We do, and a little bit of chaos.
Yeah. But we're so careful in how we talk about it because I have had people say things like, well, God did that so that you could have these children. And I'm like, no. And I'll cry because I'm a crier. But God did not kill my first babies so that I could have these ones.
Yeah.
But what He did do was look down at us, His children, who He loved so dearly, and see our weeping and our mourning. And He wept with us, and He carried us through, and He picked up the broken pieces, and He put them together, in a way that he does get all the glory for,
Absolutely.
but in a way that showed just how much he loves and cares for us.
Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful. And we're out of time.
I understand.
But you brought it right to the perfect place. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. I know that there's probably so many people that are in that very same kind of a place. And I want you to take heart and know that God will do what he has done for them, he'll do for you.
And he sees you.
He does. He does. And so as we leave each other today, again, if you haven't said yes to Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, let the day be the day, and call us. The number's right there on the bottom of the screen. We've got prayer partners that will pray with you. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious upon you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you his everlasting peace. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you for joining us today on God Answers Prayer. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on our program, please contact us by visiting kchftv.org and click on Share Your Testimony. Our prayer partners are here to pray for your needs. Call us today at 505-345-4165. We appreciate your prayers and support. Join us again next time for more inspiring stories and testimonies. Remember, God is always listening, and he answers our prayers in his perfect timing.